Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. The Tamil language film Annapoorani, which means the goddess of food, featuring Nayanthara, has been embroiled in a controversy for hurting the Hindu sentiments. This film has a dialogue where the characters are saying that Lord Ram was used to consume meat. Now, in this particular film, there is a depiction of a daughter of a Hindu temple priest, and she ends up cooking meat, and she also finally enters a high stakes cooking festival where she cooks meat. Now, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad has opposed these sections of the film, and there was an FIR which was lodged by the Hindu IT cell. And after the FIR was lodged, the film has been taken down from the OTT platforms and also the Z OTT platform. Now, what kind of a censorship is this? Because OTT platforms were supposed to be as creative as they could have been. And now, this kind of a censorship, how does it impact the OTT platforms and also the quality, the high quality films which everyone used to watch on the OTT platforms? Joining me now is a very special panel with us. We have Mr. Theodore Bhaskaran, who's a film historian and an activist, joining us from Bangalore. So thank you so much for joining. We have Maithili Rao, who's the author and the film critic. Thank you so much, ma'am. We have Kavita Muralidharan, who's the journalist and also someone who very closely follows the films. Thank you so much, Kavita. And we have Rahul Ishwar, the right-wing philosopher and the columnist with us. Thank you so much, Rahul, for joining. And let me begin with Rahul because Rahul is not able to switch on his video because he's traveling and it's a low signal zone. So I will begin with him. Rahul, if you could get my audio. What you really have to say about this controversy, and is it a needless controversy? Saying that it hurts Hindu sentiments. Would you really approve of
Yes.
what BHP has done? Yes.
Yeah, two submissions. One, every movie needs to balance creativity with responsibility, liberty with sensitivity. These things should go together. So if a section of people should feel offended about one thing, it is in a moderate way. We should do it in a very responsible way. But there is no creativity in the world without sensitivity. Here, we all really adore Nayanthara as a great actress and artist, but at the same point of time, there are some scenes which can be deemed as provocative, which can occasions in the society, which is depicted in a different context, that there are some insinuations where people might find it offensive. So these are legitimate reactions from the should be acknowledged, and there should be a debate on it.
Mr. Bhaskaran, are we heading into an era where there's arbitrary kind of a censorship, because nobody thought that the films will be taken down from the OTT platforms, though there have been controversial films, but taking down the films completely from the OTT platforms, Mr. Bhaskaran, how would you really see this? Is this a beginning of a very dangerous precedent? Yes.
Yeah, there has been many precedents like this earlier. Censorship was started in 1918 in India. Film censorship, that is pre-censorship of films. Only film can be pre-censored, not the drama. There have been many instances. My stand is that once we have a machinery called censorship board of certification, once it's clear, then there cannot be other agencies trying to sanitize the film. It has happened earlier. Bombay was cleared by the Shiv Sena. These are extra-constitutional authorities interfering. Utta Punjab was stopped by a court order, a Punjabi film. Many in Tamil, Agraharathil or Kadudai, 1977, was stopped by a court order from being telecast. Thrice it happened. Thrice it was scheduled and it was yanked off. So this is a very common phenomenon in Indian cinema. Now, what is the result of this? You see, many filmmakers will avoid controversial subjects. In other words, what they fear will be controversial. So this gives you a completely mindless entertainment film. It will be very successful. I mean, it will bring in crores and crores of, that's a different matter. But the content of the film will not touch any social or political issues. So this is what happened during the British period when there was strict censorship. There was the war, and so Indian cinema developed into a mindless entertainment film. Now, this is the danger, that once it has been censored, it should let go, unless if a film is to create law and order problem, then the court comes in. That's a very rare case. So unless there is freedom of ideology, your cinema will not grow. See, one of the purposes of censorship is promoting excellence in cinema. And you can't have it if you are interfering in the manner that it's being done now. And a critic.
No, but Mr. Theodore, do you really agree with the kind of objections which have been raised by the Vishwa Hindu Parishad? They say that it has hurt the Hindu sentiments. It goes against the ethos of Ramayana. It has set things against Ram, Lord Ram, Lakshman, and Sita. And there is an angle of love jihad also. So all of this, does the film really hurt the Hindu sentiments?
I don't think so. All the interference with the creative cinema so far has been from the right wing. You see, that is the problem. If this business of hurting sentiments, I mean, you could say anything, any film, and say it is hurting our sentiments. Any religion or any ideological group can say that. My point is that should not be given importance.
All right, all right. So you're saying that not too much of importance should be given. Metli, if I may come to you now, what is this controversy then needless? Many times, the right wingers have raised objections. Last year, if you remember, there was a whole lot of controversy about the orange bikini, where Deepika Padukone figured in that film Pathan. Before that, also, there are a number of examples of this. But is this really becoming a pattern now when you have, especially a BJP government at the center, and these right wing fringe elements are so emboldened?
I think there is the whole atmosphere of empowering these fringe groups, it's a political atmosphere. So that's why even Pathan, actually, after the film was released, Deepika Padukone's orange bikini, actually, the Pakistanis should have taken objection to it that she's flaunting a Hindu color, whereas here they misinterpreted it. So they're so quick. I don't know, how can the Hindu faith be so vulnerable that anything and everything touches it? I mean, I call this the justification for this is the hurt Hindu psyche is reasserting itself. I mean, I think Swapan Das Gupta, when he started being the spokesperson for the whole Hindutva movement, he coined this phrase. The hurt Hindu psyche became like a justification for anything and everything. So, and it has now grown into a kind of an intimidating behemoth, I would say. Anything becomes like grist for the Hindu anger or Hindu hurt sentiment.
Right.
How is your faith so weak that anything that a film says is going to destroy your faith, is going to destroy Ram's image? Even historically speaking, if you read Romila Thapar, she said, the Aryans actually gave beef as part of the yagna. That was also, I mean, that is totally anathema to the present dispensation. But Why do you have to, if Ram is a Kshatriya, he's hunting, and you don't, why do you have to make him Brahminical? And vegetarianism is being raised to a certain level of virtue, so that anyone who doesn't abide by vegetarian is not virtuous by implication, which is, I think, a very dangerous thing. Actually, there are more non-vegetarians in India than vegetarians, but you're raising it to a level of virtue, and this is, I think, a very dangerous trend that we have, and it's like going everywhere. Once, as Mr. Theodore Bhaskaran said, once a film is censored, nobody has the right to stop its screening. If you don't like it, don't see it. But why do you want to prevent others from seeing?
Can I
You know-
point out one thing, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Rahul, go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, two things. Once a movie is released, if you don't like, don't see it. If that is the attitude, Salman Rushdie's book was released, and even before all the Islamic nations, India was the first nation to ban it. You can also say the same argument that once a book is released, it is released. Why do you want to ban it? And second, Mahatma Gandhi, even not being a Brahmin, was a vegetarian. Mahatma Gandhi was a Gorakshak. Article 48 was incorporated by Baba Saheb Ambedkar to protect the sentiments of the normal Hindus too. So we had to strike a balance somewhere. I agree with Maithili ji that we shouldn't go on a perpetual victim mode, but at the same point of time, disrespect to Hindu sentiments should also not be there. Cow, whatever the historical reasons may be, cow is a very sacred animal. That's the reason why Mahatma Gandhi used to say, I am buying Sabarmati Ashram in the name of cows. So cow is a very important sentiment. Our 1857 first war of independence started in the name of cow. So there are so many things that you need to be sensitive, but I agree. And I'm a Hindu activist who has given case against Sathvi Prachi for her anti-Muslim comments, especially the Muslim Bharat comment. And we were the first one to complain against the innocence of Muslims.
No, but
That was
Rahul, the whole thing is that who has given powers to organizations like Vishwa Hindu Parishad to become these extra constitutional authorities, take down films from the OTT platforms? I was wanting a representative from the VHP today, and I spoke to a couple of them in the afternoon, but they were occupied. And with what pride they were talking to me on the phone that, look, Neelu, madam, we've taken down the film. It was because of our pressure. Now, this kind of a thing, would you really say that it's correct?
No, just a humble submission. Nobody should be anti-constitutional. When Sri M. F. Hussain was awarded Raja Ravi Verma Puraskar, I was the head of the team which initiated a campaign against him. We decided two things. One, we will only call him Sri M. F. Hussain or M. F. Hussain sir, as he's a very senior painter. Second, we made it sure that we are not against the painter, but against the painting. He's a very well-renowned person. But we have some reservations because there was a picture called Rape of India. There was a picture called Sita with Hanuman, which can be interpreted in many ways. So we can disagree with the painting without being disrespectful to the painter. We can disagree with the movie without being disrespectful to Nayantara, who is a great artist, and also the movie makers. So we need to find the balance somewhere. And I was the part of Young Men Christian Association where we filed a complaint against Da Vinci Code for the wrong portrayal. We all believe in a Jesus Christ kind of a narrative in a different way. And it is unfair and offensive to say that he married Mary Magdalene and he had a different child line and he had a different bloodline. So religion, we may not be progressive, we may not be intellectual, but we are also sensitive people whose sentiments should be respected. So my only humble submission is, yes, everyone will agree that no anti-constitutionality should there. We shouldn't use high-handedness. We shouldn't use hooliganism. That's a given. If somebody is using, they should definitely be restricted. They should definitely be moderate. At the same point of time, the core point is liberty comes with sensitivity. Creativity comes with responsibility, and you have to be mindful. For example, in the West, can we make anything anti-Jew? You will be called an anti-Semite. You will be called all the other names. You will be called, you are against Jews. So when Jew sentiments can be protected in the West, why can't Hindu sentiments be protected in India?
All right. Now I'll take before I come to Kavita, I want a response from Mr. Theodore to what just Rahul Ishwar has said. Mr. Theodore, you want to respond? Then I'll go to Maithili and.
Please. There is a difference between books and film. Film censorship is pre-censorship. There is no pre-censorship for books. I want to make that point about Salman Rushdie.
Right.
Secondly, we have created a machinery for checking films so that it doesn't, quote within quote, hurt sentiments. After the film is passed through the machinery and certified, each group can call that it's hurt sentiments. The another point is there have been films about Jews. I would particularly recommend a film called The Lemon Tree. Please watch it. Number of films have come against about the Jews.
All right, all right. Now, Kavita, what do you think is this kind of a censorship which we are seeing on OTT platforms? How is it going to impact the future film directors? Because also there is an FIR against the film director Nilesh Krishna. There's an FIR against Nayanthara. Now, the producers or the people who are planning to make films for the OTT, how does it really impact this kind of a censorship? You'll have to unmute yourself, Kavita. Yeah.
Okay. Neelu, I've already heard from some directors in Tamil cinema that the OTT platforms choose their stories before they, before kind of they assess the stories and see if there are any trouble coming forth. I mean, they see if that there is any trouble with the story and then they go ahead with the story. So this thing is already happening on OTT platforms because I don't want to invite trouble. And I don't want to name names, but I've known directors who had to drop their stories because OTT platforms were not ready to produce such stories. So this is already happening in India. And this is a very, very dangerous trend. And one thing I wanted to ask Mr. Rahul Ishwar is, I mean, cow is a sacred animal for one part of the Hindu society, and then there are large number of Hindus who consume cow. And how are we going to justify the fact that there are so many people killed in the name of, smuggling beef, or, we know it's happening in India, the hate crimes happening because of cows. So how are we ever going to justify those things? When we speak about cow being a sacred animal, about it being in the constitution, we also need to speak about the human beings who are like affected by it. We can't be blind to those human beings who are put in the line of fire just because they consume a meat of their choice. And as far as this film is concerned, it was released in Tamil Nadu it had a theatrical release in Tamil Nadu on December 1. It was a very quiet release. It was not, there was not much controversies about it. Only it came on an OTT platform. And when it was released dubbed in Hindi and released. So it kind of picked up steam after people saw it in Hindi. So I think there is a very distinct difference between how Tamil Nadu sees the films and how people who watch it in Hindi see the film. Right. Tamil Nadu has a very there are many progressive films in Tamil Nadu which has had kind of created controversies, but no, a film has never been taken off theater. Maybe Agraharathil Kalidai, Mr. Bhaskaran pointed out, was not shown on Doordarshan for 3 times. But apart from that, I've not heard of any.
Right.
So there have been controversies. There have been controversies.
You made an important point. Let me get in a quick response from Rahul Ishwar, and then I'll again come back to you. That Rahul, the audience who watched this Annapoorani film in South and specifically Tamil Nadu, as what Kavita was pointing out, the Tamil Nadu audience doesn't find it offensive, but as soon as it's streamed on the OTT platforms and because of the complaint filed by the Hindu IT cell in Jabalpur, this gathers steam and then the film is taken down by the OTT platforms. Now,
2 things. I'm an Indian from South. So Tamil Nadu has a different kind of ideology, courtesy people like Periyar, who has a different vision. I humbly disagree with Periyar's vision, but I respect Periyar as a great social icon. So, North India, as we know, the cow sentiments are a bit more. See, cow sentiments, historically, it is very interesting. Like Maithili ji said, at an earlier point of time, Vivekananda also points out that
the film doesn't even show beef, Neelu and Rahul. I mean, if I may.
I know. I mean,
it shows. I think it shows her cooking chicken biryani, not beef biryani. I just wanted to point.
I was just pointing out what Maithili ji said earlier. See, cow was at one point of time. Vivekananda also says Aryans used to consume cow meat and all. But later, when Buddhism and Jainism emerged in a bigger way, it was then the whole vegetarian movement and vegetarianism, became more in vogue, if I can use that word. But let whatever be the historical context for the past 1,000 years, cow is a very sentimental approach there. So meat eating generally is associated with these kind of things. Second, in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, where I live, hardly 3% are vegetarians. In Tamil Nadu too, hardly 3 or 4% are vegetarians. So we understand. I come from a Brahmin Hindu community and I lean right. I agree that there may be some people who toe a hard line on these kind of issues, but there are sentiments also involved.
do you agree with the manner in which the film has been taken down completely by the OTT platforms? Is that what
My
you
hum-
really wanted? Because
no,
it is
my
heard
my
that those sentiments should be taken down.
No, my humble submission would be slight kind of modification of those particular parts where
Right.
she is praying in a different way. She's shown as the daughter of a pujari. She's doing this barkha thing and doing prayers. So it can cause conflicts. So we live
Why?
in.
Why? The daughter of a Hindu priest cannot offer namaz. Is that so objectionable according to you?
Uh, See, I know we take pride in going to our mosque before going to Shabrimala. We are pluralists by nature, but there can be a section of people who may feel it offensive saying so. Let us be honest about it.
Because of that section, no, because of that small section of people, you take down the films.
No, that's the reason why I said I believe even Netflix statement. If you see, Netflix is saying we will reinstate, or the implication of their release is we will reinstate the movie after modification of those scenes. So some kind of modification of these scenes, I think, is the way out. There might be some trouble scenes, because it's a social media age. Somebody can raise a contention. It is unlike those 30 years back or 40 years back. So my only humble submission is let us be realistic about these kind of things. There are cultural sentiments being hurt. We are neither Iran, where you have ultra conservative mode, or we are neither America, where there is a ultra liberal mode where they can even burn their flag. We are India, where we are somewhere in between. We are more the moderates.
All right. Right. You spoke about modifications in the film. Kavita, are you aware that any kind of modification is being worked around? Because the FIR has been filed against Nayantara, it has been filed against Nilesh Krishna. Are they thinking about modifying certain objectionable scenes?
That's what the producers say. That's what studios say, that they will modify the portions. But I don't know. See, the film extensively shows the culture around Srirangam too. How they prepare the prasadams for Srirangam temple. Those things are also extensively shown in the film. And I don't know why it's like Hindu Brahmin sentiments alone being particularly affected, because of political analyst called Madhimaran recently pointed out on his YouTube channel how when you prepare this prasadam, you cover it to take it into the temple, because for people of other caste apart from Brahmins to see even that prasadam is, it's considered a very bad thing. It's considered a wrong thing. So why can't they be also affected by this scene? It's also a portrayal of culture. Nilesh Krishna, the director, actually told an interview to a newspaper that he has worked for more than 1 year on to kind of properly represent all cultures without hurting any sentiments. And I think he's done that.
Okay.
And I don't see any controversy around it, but it's very sad that this modification is going to happen.
Right. Okay, Metli, I'll come back to you again. Now, the film has a number of pain points. First, it says that it has hurt the Hindu sentiments because there are things said against Lord Ram, Lakshman, and Sita. Then it says, I was just reading an analytical piece which said that the film is also promoting love jihad. Now, how does this film promote love jihad just because there is a cross-religious romance? It promotes love jihad. So is this directly connected to the kind of political atmosphere we have? There is a huge Ram temple inauguration ceremony which is lined up on 22nd, and here you had a film on the OTT platform which said that Ram was meat eating. So is this all connected with the politics, the current politics which we see?
Of course, it's blatant. I mean, it's obvious that there's such a hype built up about the Ram Mandir. Even when the Shankaracharya said it should, not right to consecrate an idol and go do the Pran Pratishtha when the the temple is incomplete. So, I mean, you can't say that the Shankaracharyas don't know what Hinduism and what the rituals are to be observed. Be that as may be, this whole hype being built about the Ram temple. You switch on the TV, you don't know whether the reporter is a journalist or a BJP supporter singing the glories, paeans of glory to Ayodhya, what's happening, and breathlessly saying, wait till the 22nd. I mean, you lose faith in journalism when you see that practically every other channel has this segment, wait for the 22nd. So is this Is this just why are you making a religious consecration into a political act, and then that way you're vitiating the entire atmosphere in the country? So if you say anything critical, I mean, like a scholarly criticism of Ramayana, say, supposing you do a sociological analysis of Ramayana, people have done. A.K. Ramanujan, that 300 Ramayanas is there, and there's another book by, there are so many readings of the Ramayana, but say anything a little critical of the Ramayana and you're damned. As a, I'm a non-practicing Hindu, but I've been born into the Hindu culture. So I do know. And the South Brahminical culture is even more orthodox. So, I do know the nuances there and what can hurt people. But this whole thing of Hindi, Hindu, Hindustan is percolating down to the South, which, as Kavita said, it ran without any controversy in Tamil Nadu. The moment it comes on the OTT channel, it becomes like. Then I remember long ago, you had this extra constitutional bodies like the Shiv Sena in Bombay, where I used to live for a very long time. So when Fire came about, the Deepa Mehta film about the two lesbian sisters-in-law who have been unhappy marriages, they come together. So then their names were Radha and Sita. So they said, you cannot call these characters Radha and Sita, and they're deliberately provocative. Deepa Mehta may be an Indian, but she's a non-resident Indian in Canada. So the film had to, actually they vandalized the theaters at that point. And later, with police protection, the film was shown again. So, I think this kind of hurt sensibilities, I think, is something people have to take it on the chin. So somebody else has a different point of view. So you don't get down to this kind of extra constitutional, powers. As Kavita said, Netflix vets the script before they agree to produce the film. And I also know that Anand Patwardhan's Reason, the last series that he made, the documentary, Netflix thought that it is too provocative for them to promote. And so they didn't show the film.
Right.
So there are the things that for them also, India is a huge market.
Right.
And so the bottom line is the most important thing for them. But then you can't say that. It's very sad when even a behemoth like Netflix bows down to these kind of coercion. I would call it coercion and threats.
Right.
And they feel emboldened because it is the Hindu right-wing government at the center.
Absolutely.
So they feel that they can get away with it,
Absolutely.
And they're
Yeah. I'll come to Mr. Theodore. Now, what does this censorship now ultimately going to do to the OTT platforms? Where we've seen beautiful films, beautiful topics, beautiful plots, very creative scripts. Now, is it really going to damage the OTT platforms, Mr. Theodore?
My fear is that filmmakers will start developing anticipatory censorship, and they will produce utterly meaningless films, which now, I mean, it's on in a number of theaters, just fights, gore, and that goes as cinema. That is the big danger. In fact, that's one of the reasons why Indian cinema has largely grown as an entertainment vehicle. So the other thing is, I don't think we should be greatly worried about the recognition given by OTT platform.
Okay.
You see, that is something to be worried, but that's not going to make filmmakers like Joe Baby change their approach to cinema. The OTT also promotes films like Kadal, The Core, which is a topic that has so many people both writers and theatre persons feared to touch. So, but they have done it, and that has come on OTT. That's the other side of the picture.
Okay. So Rahul, what would you say? And then I'll come for the concluding comments to Kavita. Are the people from VHP not going to be hauled up for the kind of objections they raise? Who are the voices within the government? They'll say that, okay, look, you don't need to intervene. I'm also waiting for a moment like that. That what is the business of Vishwa Hindu Parishad to raise alarms against these OTT platforms?
See, there are two things. One, non-violence is non-negotiable. There are no two ways about it. I think anyone would agree, and everybody is supposed to agree with that. Second, no kind of bullying, no kind of coercion, no kind of high-handedness should be used. That's also a given. But the only humble submission is there is a right to be offended.
An FIR lodged against... but an FIR, what would you say that?
FIR is a legal process. They can go to a court of law and they can get it quashed. If the court is not finding it sensible enough, it is not as if Nayantara will have to go to the police station or Nayantara will have to go to the court. So they can engage their own lawyers. Second thing, please remember the soul of debate is there a right to be offended? I believe as a right-wing activist, there is a right to be offended, and right to be offended is a part of right to free expression. So if there is an offense, we can protest. But when we protest, we should do it in a very moderate way. I know, as I pointed earlier, I led one of the protests against the M.F. Hussain. We went to the Honorable Kerala High Court. We got a positive verdict, and the Raja Ravi Verma Puraskar to Sri M.F. Hussain was cancelled. But we made it sure that we will always hold it in high esteem. We will always use respectful words to address him. We disagree with his painting, but as many people say, he's the Picasso of India. So we respect his nature in a very good way. But please remember, unless you agree and accept that there is a right to be offended, we won't be able to find a middle ground. We won't be able to find a middle ground where people can respectfully respectfully agree to disagree. Then only the hardline voices will be more emboldened who will go to the violent ways.
So Kavita, you would want to just summarize with your concluding comment? Yeah.
Basically, Neelu, I think demanding ban doesn't make sense in the world we live today. Someone pointed out when I worked on an article on this film, someone pointed out that we live in a world where we get, all films from across the world in our drawing rooms. And do you think even if Netflix, modifies, edits, whatever it does, don't you think the YouTube will be flooded by those deleted or modified scenes, and you can't completely ban anything today. So I think the entire exercise of demanding this ban is pointless. It's going to backfire for VHP or whatever organization that's doing this. And it's dangerous, but it's also very pointless.
Okay. So thank you so much. We'll have to end it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Theodore Bhaskaran, Maithili Rao, Kavita, Rahul. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.